Bro Podcast here at Playlist Retreat.
Playlist Retreat 2024. What's your first
I made it moment?
I guess winning the DMC. Although I don't know if, you know what? No, it's weird. When I think back, I don't think I felt like I made it when I won that battle. I remember being like, I still need to prove myself.
Okay.
You know? That's still going to be my answer, but just with the caveat that I remember now that I was like, no, it's not enough. I need to win like 2 or 3 to show people that I didn't just get lucky.
My first I made it moment was hearing Plug Tuning, which was our first single, hearing it played on New York radio, having Mr. Magic, you know, when they in Marley Marl, when they premiered new music and they would go world premiere, and just to have that ID said while my record came on and Marley Marl was cutting it, Yo Pos and Dove, I made it. That was it.
Where were you? Do you remember?
I was in my house, in my room, and I heard it coming on the radio. And I remember, you know, Mace, Dave, we calling each other, and we're just so blown away. That was it. And you at your cassette, you're taping it. It was everything.
Wow, that's so crazy. I got goosebumps with that shit.
You've been making music with the greats. I mean, you remixed for everybody from Madonna, Michael Jackson, who you can name it, like everybody. What was the moment where you thought to yourself, damn, I made it?
Well, we did New Eureka Soul. And it was at the photo shoot, actually. We've been on autopilot for like 7 years at that point, starting from 90 to 97, even though we recorded most of it in 96. But 97 was when things were starting to happen, artwork was being done and all that kind of stuff. Did the photo shoot, and I look around, and it was Benson in one corner, it was Tito Puente in another corner, Eddie Palmieri in another corner, India in another corner. And I was just like, wow, we did some shit. Because, you know, it's something you grow up, you know, I'm not a trained musician. And for that, to put together a project like that, as in a DJ mindset, of what we love, but we're real musicians, and then you put the OGs in the mix at that time. These are accomplished musicians that we're talking about, arrangers and orchestra leaders. 2 kids, one from the Bronx and one from Brooklyn, put this together. To me, I was like, oh shit, this is real, you know.
And that's a classic album, people. So you already know you're the New Eureka Soul, man. Was a game changer.
And there's part 2 coming, so get ready.
Exclusive, Row Podcast. All right.
One of the first I made it moments, and I think there was a bunch in my career. It's 95. I was a resident at a place called Den of Thieves in Lower East Side, Manhattan, and I'd play there every Saturday. I'd play across the board. I play rap, I play house music, I play disco, right? I remember one time I was playing there at a packed house. This is a Saturday night in 1995, and I was playing Give It Up and Turn It Loose, and I'm doubling up on the breaks, and I'm rocking a Yuri, so I'm doing doubles off of rotary, whatnot, you know. And I seen Crazy Legs was up in the club, and he walked by, and he's looking at me, and he's nodding his head, looking at me like this, and I'm like, oh shit, that's Crazy Legs, you know. I had never met him before. I've never actually met him since. But he leaned over the booth and he says, you know you're the man right now, right? You know you're the man. So, I don't know. That was a stamp. I mean, that was a validation from like an original, B-boy, foundational hip-hop figure. So, yeah.
You're a mixtape legend. You've DJ'd for some of the best and the most influential hip-hop artists in history. From Eminem, Jadakiss, and 50, and fucking Jay-Z and Nas. But what was the moment when you felt you made it?
When I put my first mixtape in the store in Rochester, New York, shout to Mad Flavors on Lyle Avenue in 1998, and they called me and they said, we need more, because they were sold out. That's the day I knew.
Probably had to be when I was 13 years old. And I played with George Johnson from the Johnson Brothers and did like some of his songs, like Strawberry Letter 23. So that was the moment where I'm like, oh, I can, like I'm a kid and I'm playing with this legend.
I was working in customer service at HMV, and I'd done an EP, and I sent it to BBC Six Music, and I'm sitting at my desk, and we listened to Six Music, and I'm sitting at my desk doing my shitty customer service job, and one of the joints from my EP came on the radio. And it was kind of that moment that I was like, I don't need to do this customer service bullshit anymore.
King Britt asked me to rock at Silk City. First time I ever played for a 21 and over crowd. I've been DJing since childhood, but it was like a guy that's established gave me a shot. I was new to the city, new kid in town trying to get work. Incredible guy, gave you an opportunity, and I ran with that shit. Praise God.
Maceo, what was your first I made it moment?
Going uptown to Harlem to Mike G from the Jungle Brothers, going to his crib, working on some beats, and coming in the room was DJ Red Alert. Here it is. I've been knowing Mike for almost a year at this point, and he never knew Red Alert was his uncle. And Red come in the room was like, okay. And I was like, yo, what is Red Alert doing in here? He was like, yo, that's my uncle. And in that moment, I felt like I made it.
I made it moment is in New York City in 2003. And I'm backstage at Central Park Summer Stage, and I see Posdnuos, and I get all my courage up to walk over and bring him my Big Daddy Kane mixtape, and I hand it to him, and I'm like, Posdnuos, I'm a huge fan. My name is Jay Period, and he sees the CD, and he laughs, and I think it's bad for a second. He's like, yo, I already have this, bro. He's like, I got this on whatever it was, Supreme or whatever store he got it at back in the day, and that for me was the I made it moment. If De La Soul has my mixtape, I've done something right.
That's amazing. That's such a great story.
Winning the Vancouver 3 Style.
Oh shit.
That was amazing to me. That was like dream come true. I worked really hard for that, and like when it happened, I was like, holy shit. Like, I fucking did it.
If I think back, probably when I first put out Drums That Knock, my sample pack, that's when I feel like my name started to grow and more producers were using my stuff. And so I'd say around the time 2016 when I put out Drums That Knock.
I got to be a small part of the Like Water for Chocolate Europe tour in 2001. That was my first time going overseas. Shout out to Grand Agent and Luke Pack, who was actually supporting that tour. So I was there supporting Grand Agent. And I got on the stage at a festival in I want to say Oslo, Norway, and it was a huge festival. Big Daddy Kane playing, Flaming Lips, like Coldplay. It was a giant festival, and it was like 20,000 people in front of us, and the people in the front row were saying ill vibe when I got on the stage, and I was like, holy shit. Like I couldn't imagine that anybody on another part of the planet would actually have any familiarity with what we were doing in our bedrooms in Philly.
My first I made a moment happened in 2020. My father likes to have a 4th of July barbecue. It was obviously much smaller than it is normal years. And we had a DJ set up in the sunroom where the bar and stuff is. And I just decided just to like kind of get on. And like I had only been DJing for roughly about a year at that point. And I played for about 3.5, 4 hours. And I dropped something that I saw my dad kind of peek out of the kitchen, look at me with this stink face, and then like go back on his way. And next thing I know, I look on Twitter maybe like when I was done, and he said, my son Corey Towns is an amazing DJ.
Damn!
And that let me know that was like, all right, for me to only be a year in and to get that type of praise, both like visually and then seeing it kind of on paper, that was my made a moment.
It was probably the Star Wars.
Star Wars?
Yeah. But it happened on a local level before it happened on the international level.
No, I was watching that on LimeWire.
Yeah, I know, but
You were known.
But in the city, it happened in my city because that record that I'm using was actually the record of my opponent. Buck 65. It was his record. So it happened in a local Halifax, Nova Scotia DJ battle. This is how deep that was. You can't tell me you've seen that footage. I do have it. But that was probably my first, felt like I made a moment. Actually, because I beat him the year before. His name's Rich, and I did this routine with the bridge is over. But I muted the B and just said, Rich is over, and I held up the record in the back and said, Rich is over, and then I beat him, so that was that was probably my first local made it moment.
The first time J5 went to the UK, and we finished the show and tried to go out the back door after we finished our last song, and we couldn't open the door, and we couldn't figure out why we could, is because people were trying to come in. And so they wanted autographs of our first Independence, 12-inch, and we were like, damn, because in LA people really just didn't know anything about us or didn't care, took us for granted or whatever. So that was oh, this could be something,
I think it's when you go home and you see children, they're looking at you oh, can you give me advice? And you're thinking, I was just you 10 years ago. I think that's what means the most. And that's when you're just dang, I'm fulfilling my purpose, and you realize the impact that your actions have, because it's very minuscule, as in I'm just one DJ in a sea of DJs, and yeah, there's big moments that I named, but that's what really is when you're dang, I'm living in my purpose, and that's what to me making it is, and it's every day.
My I made it moment was being able to walk up to my heroes and icons and they understood who I was. That was when I ran into Kane and I'm telling them, yo man, yo I'm blah blah blah, yo I'm Lord Finesse, I know who you are. That's oh shit, because you did it, I did it hoping to be great. Money was one thing, but you wanted to be able to be talked about.
Right, respect.
And respected. That was the whole thing, respect. It wasn't, the money came later, but it was more the respect to know. Because listening as a kid on a cassette tape, you listen to one day I hope I'm just as dope as them. So when they tell you yo, I know who you are, you dope. Yep. That's the money.
He just did it to us too earlier. He was like, yeah, I know who y'all are.
What's the first I made it moment that you've had in your career?
When Grandmaster Flowers told me I could play more than one record. He said you can keep going, look. And that was it. I knew I would be a DJ for the rest of my life. I think I was 11 or 12. But it sealed the deal. Because somebody that looked at it and I looked at the greatest at that time told me, you could keep going, you're going to be all right.
What's your first I made it moment? Shit. Probably live at Union Square. Oh, okay. I got, let me tell you something. Clark Kent stood next to me at Live at Union Square. Wow. Clark Kent made me feel comfortable going to the rooftop and playing. Me and Clark go back. Wow.